Yo, what's cracking, shawties? This is a part two to my last video. Tweaking off Wellbutrin and acid on Easter. So if you haven't seen that, this isn't really gonna make a whole lot of sense. So probably go watch that shit first. But yeah, basically, so where I left off last time, I had just picked up the tabs from Lucas, right? I got the Wellbutrin from Cameron, and I'd spent all night railing that absolute shit, and I didn't really take into account how this Wellbutrin might mix with the acid, right? At the time, I was not aware that these were 24 hours, or at least that they would be lasting 24 hours, because I was snorting them, right? So realistically, I was thinking, okay, this shit's gonna be out of my system by the time the acid hits. It's not really gonna have an effect. So I decided to drop this acid literally right after I pick it up too. Like, it's not even like I went home and like chilled for a little bit and just dropped it later that night. I literally picked up these tabs around like, what, 4 p.m., get home, drop them at like 4:30, dude. So I had not really made a good decision here. And like I said last time, this is when I was in a relationship. So doing acid when I'm in a relationship, that's kind of risky, dude. Like, me and my girlfriend, we were the type where like we were like really close. Like, we texted all the time. When we weren't together, we would text all the time, and like we would call every night. Like, this week where we were apart was a big deal because like we like missed each other that much, and we would call every single night. And I didn't take that into account before dropping these tabs. I didn't take a lot of things into account. I was kind of retarded. I had just thought like, oh, I haven't done acid in a while because I've been in a relationship, so I'm gonna do acid now because I'm just that excited. So I dropped these tabs, and it had been a while since I tripped, right? Because I was in a relationship, so I wasn't really doing drugs a lot. So it had been a while, and I dropped this tab. I just dropped one, right? And these are like, I don't know, I think like 110 to 120 micrograms, somewhere around that range. And I'm coming up around like 6. I'm just like chilling in my room, making music. And when I'm off enough acid, I can't really make music because I'm just distracted by fucking everything, and it distorts audio a lot. Like, I noticed there's a lot of audio distortions, but I do like listening to music on acid. I like listening to music on psychs in general because I feel like the music really like changes the visuals. So I notice I'm coming up, but I notice it's not a normal acid come up, right? Like, I notice it's a little different. Usually when I'm coming up off the acid, like, I just get this feeling in my veins like I'm like fucking Thor, dude. Like, I just like feel like there's like a lightning in my veins, and I'm like fucking lit, and it's almost like I'm like on like amphetamines or like cocaine or something. It's like I'm like coming up on an upper, and I'm just like fucking lit, and I'm just like, yeah, like the acid's hitting. Like, I just get like really like enthusiastic, which I was to a degree. But dude, this come up was weird because, and at the time I didn't really know why, but now I'm aware that it's like because of the Wellbutrin in my system. But I noticed that it's a lot more dissociative than acid usually is. Like, this shit almost feels like ketamine or like PCP. Like, I'm like genuinely tweaking dick at this point. And I'm coming up and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I feel like out of it. You know, like, I feel like hella like, you know, like just like in a different world, dude. Which, I mean, usually acid does bring you to a different world. But the thing is, usually the reason you feel out of it on acid is because you're focused on something else and you're really into something else. Like, you're really into like the visuals and you're really into the acid experience. And that's why you feel like you're like kind of like distant from like the actual real world, right? That's usually why you're like out of it on acid, because you're into something else. But this time I wasn't into anything. I felt like I was just dissociating from everything. I was dissociating from the trip, and I was dissociating from real life, you know, instead of just like getting immersed in the trip. you know? So I felt like I was dissociating from everything, and it was kind of fucked, right? Like, I was like, yo, what is going on? And I'm coming up and I'm like, yo, this is not normal. And I'm just like sitting in my room and I'm just like, so like, I feel stupid. I feel really stupid. Like, I just feel like I don't even know who the fuck I am. I'm like, I lay down in my bed. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like, I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm just gonna try and like watch some YouTube, maybe like just like chill the fuck out and just see where this takes me. So I lay in bed and I start to notice the patterns are really intense. Like, usually acid isn't that intense, you know? Like, shrooms are a lot more intense than acid, in my opinion. I mean, I think acid is a little bit more intense emotionally, but I feel like usually acid isn't that visually intense. You know, shrooms are really visually intense. Like, you will notice you will notice the difference visually on shrooms. Acid, it's like, yeah, the colors are brighter and shit, but usually it's not as intense. But I'm looking up at the ceiling and it's almost like there's like this shadow of like a tree like blowing around. It's like I see like all these like leaves and shit. And it's like there's like a bunch of leaves like just blowing around on my ceiling. And I have one of those textured ceilings, right? This is a new ass apartment. I have one of those textured ceilings where it's like there's like a like those like smears of paint and shit, and it's like very like cloud like, you know, like there's, it looks like there's a bunch of fucking clouds on the ceiling. And it's like they're turning into leaves and like shifting and blowing around. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm kind of vibing with this. But at the same time, I'm still out of it. You know, it still feels like I'm on fucking PCP or some shit. So I get up and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk, you know, which that's always what I say. That's like always my number one decision when I'm on drugs is, oh, let me go on a walk. Which, I mean, I highly recommend it, dude. Like, going on a walk off any drug is lit, dude. It's fucking fire. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk, and I leave my apartment and I go on this walk, and it's so weird because once I kind of like left my apartment and I was like looking at the ceiling and there was like the fucking leaves blowing around and shit. I noticed that after I left, the whole pattern thing kind of went away. Like, there wasn't really a whole lot of patterns as I was walking around. Things were definitely brighter. Things were definitely a little bit more, you know, vibrant looking. Which, dude, I love the word vibrant, dude. Vibrant really just encapsulates the effects of a lot of drugs, dude. I use the word vibrant a lot. And it's true. It rings true, dude. Like, this acid just made everything a lot more vibrant. And I was walking around, and that part was normal, right? The vibrant colors was normal. I was like, you know, that's kind of what I was expecting, so I wasn't too taken aback by that. But, dude, I noticed I'm just hallucinating in such a weird way. I noticed I'm like, I like was looking ahead, and I was listening to music at the time, but it was like kind of distorted. It was kind of like fucked up because I was on acid. And it was also a lot more fucked up this time in particular because it was mixing with the Wellbutrin. So the music was really fucked up at this point. But I was like looking ahead, and I'm like walking through the city, you know, the main part of Rexburg with all the buildings and shit. And I'm walking like by all these people, and I probably look like a tweaker. I don't really know how I looked because I was that out of it. And I'm looking ahead, and it looks like one of the roofs of the building just falls the fuck off, dude. Like, it looks like one of the roofs of the building just crashes down. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But then, like, I like look, and like literally like a split second later, literally like a fucking zeptosecond later, dude, it was back to normal. It was just like a split second. It looked like this roof fell off the building. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I was so just taken aback by like what I had just seen, because it was so unlike acid, right? Like, you don't just like see new shit on acid. Most of the time it's just like it just like changes the world you're in, right? Like, it like changes the visuals that you already see. It doesn't change what fucking happens, right? It doesn't like change like what you see. It just like enhances what you see, right? But that is not what was happening at all. Literally, I like hallucinated a roof falling off a building. And I was so fucking, I was like, what is going on, dude? Like, I knew it wasn't normal at this point. But at the same time, I had such a clouded, like foggy thought process that I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I had just like lost track of the fact that that shit just happened. So I go on my walk. I'm not even thinking anything of it because I'm not even thinking anything at all. I'm really dissociated. And I go back home and I'm tweaking the fuck out. And I just go back home and I'm just like laying in bed. I'm laying in bed the whole night. And I don't really know what happens. But like, for some reason, like around like midnight, I just like started to like really tweak out, and I'm sitting up in my bed, and I just realized I am dissociating so hard. Like, I am literally tweaking at this point. And I look at my wall, and at this point, I don't really know why this happened, but everything was more vibrant. I still had that visual effect, right? But instead of the usual patterns of acid, it's like I was watching cartoons on my wall. Which, acid is usually pretty cartoony, you know? It's pretty, like, kind of, like, goofy looking. But, dude, I was looking at my wall, and it's almost like there were, like, these, like, fucking cartoon characters just, like, fucking, like, walking around, and it was weird. I saw, like, this guy, like, I don't even know how to describe this. This guy was, like, fighting a shark on my wall, and he was, like, and like, the shark, like, bit him, but he was, like, it was, like, cartoony, right? So he was, like, prying the shark's jaw open while the shark was biting him, and I could like hear him struggling. Like, I could hear the sound like it was a cartoon, and I was hearing like this little cartoonish ass music, like this like weird ass like cartoon music, and he was just like prying the shark's jaw open, and I was like, okay, this guy's gonna die at any moment. Like, he's gonna give in, and the shark's gonna bite him in half. So I don't want to see that shit. So I like look away. And I just noticed I'm like seeing all these like weird cartoon visions and shit. And I'm like seeing also like these realistic like video like animations of like people. Like, I noticed that it was a lot of like ocean stuff. Like, there was like this vision I had of this guy on a boat, and he was like rafting through all these like crazy ass like rapids and shit. And then I see like spiders, right? I also see spiders because I'm me and I have HPPD, and spiders are just ingrained in my mind. So I'm seeing spiders eating all these people alive. You know, like, for a while there, it was kind of like a jolly, happy little animation with all these cartoon characters just frolicking around. But then they all get eaten by spiders. And at this point, I'm kind of just like, whatever, you know? Like, it's not really disturbing me because I'm so out of it. And I'm seeing these spiders eating these people alive. And I'm just like, oh, well, damn, the spiders won, I guess. I don't even know. I just remember thinking like, oh, I guess the spiders won this battle, dude. Like, I don't know what the fuck I was on about. And I'm tweaking the fuck out, and I kind of like end up like trying to go to sleep, and I'm texting my girlfriend at this time too. But I noticed the fucking text bubbles are just like separating from my phone screen and like bubbling up and like popping. You know, it's like these bubbles are coming off, the text bubbles are coming off my phone and like floating up and popping. It's so weird. It's like my phone was boiling or some shit. And my girlfriend's texting me, and I'm not making a whole lot of sense. Like, this conversation I had with my girlfriend made no sense. I like remember at one point I told her like, I feel like I'm 2 pounds right now, and she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I just remember like this string of texts was like so like weird, dude. Like she could definitely tell I was fucked up. And then she asked to call me. And dude, listen, I don't really I don't really like my girlfriend. I don't really like what she did to me. I don't really like how the relationship started and ended. I don't really like how the whole situation went. But I do apologize to her for this. I do feel bad for her. Just because of this night in particular. Because that phone call was rancid, dude. That phone call was awful. Like, she was like asking me questions, and I was so out of it that I just like would like say something completely unrelated. And I remember a particular moment where I just like remember saying something stupid, and I was just like, wait, what did you ask me? And she was like, she told me that she had asked me something completely unrelated to what I had said. And I was like, fuck, like I was trying so hard to like, be coherent, but I was just disappointed in myself because I kept fucking up. And she could definitely tell something was off. She was trying to talk to me about like some serious family stuff she had going down, and she really needed my support, but I just was so fucking out of it that I couldn't like talk to her. And I feel bad for her, but eventually we hung up. Eventually we just she was just like, okay, good night. You're fucked up, buddy. I don't really remember what she said, but she could tell I was fucked up, and we talked about it the next day. But I won't get into that. It ended up being fine. We didn't like break up or anything, but like she was kind of pissed off about it. But yeah, I was really out of it, and we hung up, and I just remember I was just laying in bed all night. I was spending all night laying in bed, and I remember I like had this weird vision where I bought more acid from Lucas, like on a roof somewhere. And I don't know why, but I was like having these weird visions, and they were so vivid. And like when I would like close my eyes, because I mean obviously I wasn't gonna sleep. Like what the fuck? You think I'm gonna sleep, buddy? Absolutely not. So I couldn't fall asleep, but I was like having these weird visions where I was just like, I like bought acid from Cameron, or not Cameron, sorry. I like bought acid from Lucas, and it was so weird. And I remember getting up the next day, and I was like having the craziest hallucinations. I remember I like got up and I thought I saw like a giant water tank in the middle of my room, but then I sat up and it wasn't there. It was just like the fucking wall, like a portion of the wall. And I also remember seeing maintenance guys in my closet, and they were like, yo, can you come help us remove this vent cover? And I get up and I'm like, oh, sure. And I like walk over, and the maintenance guys disappear, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm tweaking right now. And I realized that like I'm so out of it that like I don't even know what to do. Like I'm like scared at this point. And I remember going on another walk, and it was at like 6:30 a.m. And I just go to the park, and I'm like looking up at the sky, and there's like it's like this cloud I'm looking at turns into like the DreamWorks balloons, like from the intro, like of like DreamWorks movies where like the cloud turns into balloons and shit. I remember seeing that like actually, and I was like, yo, that's fucking cool. I was kind of like thinking like it was cool. And then I also see a cloud like shoot out like these strings of like white, and it's like from all directions. And then I realized that the strings of white are actually legs, and it looks like this cloud is a giant white spider just towering over me. And I'm like, okay, fuck that. And I close my eyes, and this is when it gets crazy. I close my eyes and I see this. I like usually when I close my eyes on acid, I just see like little patterns and shit. But dude, I see this full blown like demon. I see this demon when I close my eyes, and it's like this red, like ugly looking demon. And he's like, and he says to me, he's like, oh man, like, or he doesn't say anything to me, but he just says like out loud, he says like, man, do we even show him, or something like that? And it's like, so fucking freaky to me, because I'm like, yo, what is this demon thing hiding from me, dude? And I like open my eyes again, and I end up closing my eyes a little bit later, and I see like these two demons again, like these like three, or actually it was three. It was three of these demons, and they were like in some group, and they were like, man, we're disappointed in you, buddy. We're disappointed. And I'm like so fucking paranoid. I'm like, yo, what does this mean? Like, what is the meaning of this, dude? Like, what the fuck? And I open my eyes, close my eyes again, and this time I see a bunch of tools spread out on a table. And mind you, all of this is red. Like, none of this is colorful. All of this is just red, hellish red visuals that I'm seeing, and I just see like this like group of tools just spread out on a table, and it looks like torture chamber tools, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And at this point I pretty much come to the consensus that I'm going to hell. So at this point I'm having a really bad trip, and this is crazy. So I leave the park, and I notice when I'm like crossing the crosswalk that like I like close my eyes, and now I'm seeing like lasers, like all these colorful lasers when I close my eyes. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's chill now. And I turn on some of my like music I had made. At this point, I turn on like some fucking like joyous ass like carnival ass music I had made, because I make all types of music. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna try and turn my world into like a joyous, like wonderful, like I'm trying to like change this trip a little bit, and I'm trying to like make it happier just by listening to different music. But it doesn't really work, and I just notice I'm walking around town, and I just notice I'm just so fucked up. And for some reason I had thought it was 5 or 6 p.m., right? Like I had thought for some reason that it was like nighttime, even though it was the morning. So in my thought process, I had thought my girlfriend was coming home soon, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna have to text her and tell her like I accidentally took acid or something. Like, she can't know I did this shit on purpose. And I'm just like tweaking the fuck out about that. And then I feel my pockets, and I realize I don't have my wallet or my gum, and I'm like, wait, I think I left that shit at the park. But I later figured out I just left that shit at home. But I go back to the park, and I am tweaking. I'm looking all over this park for my wallet and my gum, and I can't find it. And I'm just like so fucking distraught, because I'm gonna have to get replacements for all my cards and shit. And that would also mean I lost my ID. And I'm looking everywhere, and I'm just so disoriented that I'm like looking for like an hour straight. And I'm like, I see like trash in the distance by like all these trees, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's it. And I like go up to it, and it's not it. It's not there. And I'm thinking maybe someone took it, or maybe like a dog got to it or something. But I'm like tweaking, because I think I lost my wallet. And little did I know, I had just left it at home. And I go back home, and I find it. I find my wallet, and I find my fucking gum. And I'm so glad because I was going to text my mom and tell her like, yo, I need replacements for all my cards. But I'm so glad I didn't, because I had just left it at home. But basically I get home, and I just chill for a little bit, and sooner or later, and it's Easter Sunday at this point, right? Like, it's Easter, and I'm supposed to be at church at a certain time. But I had missed it. I had missed church. I'd missed my time. I think the time for my ward at this point was like 11. So I had missed it. It was like fucking like 2 p.m. at this point, and I'd been texting Emily a little bit, my girlfriend, and she was like, yo, you should go to church today. It's literally Easter. And I was still fucked up, right? I'd still like been telling her, or I'd still been like talking to her as if it was like 6 p.m. So she was like, yo, what the fuck? It's literally like, dude, it's literally 6 a.m. and you're texting me, right? And oh, I actually forgot. I'd also texted her at like 3 a.m. because we had said goodnight, But I texted her at like 3 a.m. I was like, yo, what's up? Because I thought it was 3 p.m. And she was literally like, yo, it's in the middle of the night. You gotta go to bed, dude. And I was so tweaked out, I didn't even understand. Like, I was so out of it. But she tells me, she's like, yo, you should go to like my ward. Cause my ward is at like fucking like 3 p.m. right? She tells me, she's like, my ward's at 3 p.m. You know my roommates, you know like all my friends and shit, so you could just go to my ward. And I was like, okay. So I ended up getting dressed and going to her ward, but I was just like on acid the whole time, so I like didn't pay attention for shit, and I left after first hour. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. After that, I kind of just went home and chilled, and like I came down eventually. But dude, I was tweaking. Dude, I literally thought I was going to hell. Like, it would have been a bad trip if it weren't for how dissociated I was and how out of it I was and how much fog was in my brain. Because I literally couldn't even stay on a thought. You know, I couldn't even like pursue a thought. So I wasn't really freaking out because I just was going from one thought to another, you know? I mean, if I had these visuals on a normal acid trip where I wasn't dissociated, it would have been a hellish trip. It would have been terrible. But, I mean, I guess this wasn't too bad of a trip, though, because I was hella dissociated and out of it. But, yeah, that's basically it. Stay tuned, of course, as always, going to be dropping more crackhead bangers. So, yeah, stay tuned, shawties. Wow.